Welcome back to Kababayan Today, and now it's time for Professor Brandon Reilly with No History, No Self. Brandon, take it away.
On June 30th, Rodrigo Duterte was sworn in as the 16th President of the Philippines. He has been the most outspoken and controversial candidate for office, perhaps in all of the Philippine Republic's history, because of his repeated admissions and even bragging of his success at reducing crime in Davao, where he served as mayor. This he achieved through the repeated and likely unconstitutional use of violent force. Whereas human rights organizations have bemoaned his use of what they term death squads to murder suspected criminals, Duterte supporters point to a lower crime rate and increased safety in the country's third largest city. Because he is temperamentally anti-intellectual and unconcerned with the nuances of drafting and passing laws, it is difficult to determine concretely what policies he will pursue once in office. Doubtless is that he will attempt to pursue some renewed version of this tough-on-crime approach to the presidency. This should give us pause, however, for one simple reason. Asian nations have had a terrifying and shocking history of political violence, one precipitated in large part by leaders who have no regard for human rights. One of the sad but inevitable facts about the Asian region to which the Philippines forms part is its history of political violence. Political violence is, in its simplest definition, quote, violence outside of state control that is politically motivated, end quote. It is when ordinary citizens, or even agents of the state who act on their own without the government's direction, make use of force to achieve their larger political goals. It has been a recurring feature of Asian history, as an examination of events in recent decades indicates. An incomplete record of Asia's major incidents of political violence since only World War II would include the following. During decolonization in the late 1940s and 1950s, former colonial nations in Southeast Asia in particular became violent towards their European, mixed race, and other minority populations. People of European descent in Indochina and Indonesia, Indians in Burma, Chinese in many other places simply fled to avoid being killed. During the partition of British India in 1947-48, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, and others mutually perpetuated a cycle of communal violence against their religious others. Hundreds of thousands perished. Following a counter-coup in 1965, over 1 million members or even loose affiliates of the Indonesian Communist Party were tortured, or killed, or simply disappeared, despite that neither their beliefs nor membership in the party were illegal according to Indonesian law. During Mao's decade of Cultural Revolution in China from 1966 to 76, the great helmsman's unleashing of the country's energetic youth led to the deaths of millions alleged to be working against socialism. The Cambodian genocide from 1975 to 79 led to the deaths of what Yale's Cambodian genocide program estimate were as many as 21% of the entire Cambodian population. And sadly, there are numerous other similar incidents like these. One particularly startling trend that emerges when we examine these cases, it is that when incited by their leaders, mass publics, ordinary citizens, are willing to undertake violent measures all on their own against their own people. To repeat, everyday people are more than capable, and sometimes even gleefully disposed, of causing harm or murdering their own neighbors on behalf of the state. In other words, President Duterte's declarations that drug dealers, pickpockets, and even quote-unquote corrupt journalists may be killed in the furtherance of justice should strike us as alarming. Asian history shows that they might become the pretext for unjustified, unprovoked murder of one villager of another for completely unrelated reasons. This is precisely what has happened already too many times.
Maraming salamat po for watching our program today. Kung gusto nyo pong mag-request ng mga past programs, pwede po kayong sumulat sa amin dito sa Kababayan Today. Ipangalan nyo lang po, paulit po, dito sa 1990 South Bundy Drive, Los Angeles, California 90025, or i-email nyo kami sa kababayan@la18.tv. Maraming salamat for joining us once again at magkita-kita po tayo dito bukas on Kababayan Today. Bye!